Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to my little quiz of 30 questions about 80s pop. It's quite a simple quiz. I'll give you 30 questions. I'll read each question twice, one after the other, with a little pause. Obviously, if you need a bit more time to do it, just press pause on this video. And then at the end, I will give you the questions again with the answers. And then I'll give you a couple of tie-break questions. Best thing to do if you're playing as a couple is decide that the winner will do, the loser, will do the washing up or mow the lawn or cook tea or whatever. And maybe if there's a large group of you, maybe everybody chuck in £1 or a fiver, and the winner wins all the dosh in the middle. So it's just a little bit of fun. Take it or leave it. If you hear a little bit of rumbling in the background, I'm in a 15th century cottage, and the walls are actually made of cow poo. So you might hear the neighbour's telly. I should try my best to stop that happening. All you need is a pen and paper. Are you ready? Here we go. Question number 1. Who had a hit with Ride on Time in 1989? Is it Shalimar, De La Soul, Men at Work, or Black Box? Who had a hit with Ride on Time in 1989? Shalimar, De La Soul, Men at Work, or Black Box? Tony Hadley was the lead singer of which band? Was it Spandau Ballet, Human League, The Bangles, or Culture Club? Tony Hadley was the lead singer of which band? Spandau Ballet, Human League, The Bangles, or Culture Club? Question 3. With which Billie Holiday song did Alison Moyet have a hit? Is it A, Body and Soul, B, I'll Be Seeing You, C, Summertime, or D, That Old Devil Called Love? Which Billie Holiday song did Alison Moyet have a hit? Body and Soul, I'll Be Seeing You, Summertime, or That Old Devil Called Love? Questione 4. Who released the 1987 album Hysteria? Is it A, AC/DC, B, Luther Vandross, C, Phil Collins, or D, Def Leppard? Who released the 1987 album Hysteria? AC/DC, Luther Vandross, Phil Collins, or Def Leppard? Question 5. Who had a hit with Don't You Forget About Me in 1985? Is it Boy George, Simple Minds, Heaven 17, or Kenny Rogers? Who had a hit with Don't You Forget About Me in 1985? Boy George, Simple Minds, Heaven 17, or Kenny Rogers? That air scratch wasn't a clue or anything. Question 6. Who reached number 1 in 10 countries with Shut Up Your Face? Is it A, Joe Dulcie, B, Shakin' Stevens, C, Rick Astley, or D, Debbie Gibson? Who reached number 1 in 10 countries with Shut Up Your Face? A, Joe Dulcie, B, Shakin' Stevens, C, Rick Astley, or D, Debbie Gibson? Question 7. Who had a hit with Just Can't Get Enough in 1981? Is it A, Depeche Mode, B, OMD, C, Whitney Houston, or D, Tina Turner? Who had a hit with Just Can't Get Enough in 1981? Depeche Mode, OMD, Whitney Houston, or Tina Turner? Question 8. Roland Orbisol and Kurt Smith formed which band? A, The Cure, B, Tears for Fears, C, Soft Cell, or D. REM? Question 9. Who was the lead singer of Frankie Goes to Hollywood? A. Holly Johnson, B. Mike Rutherford, C. Peter Hook, or D. Bernard Sumner? Who was the lead singer of Frankie Goes to Hollywood? Holly Johnson, Mike Rutherford, Peter Hook, or Bernard Sumner? Question 10. David, Jonathan, and Wayne Lewis were members of which band? The Police, Foreigner, Atlantic Star, or Starship? David, Jonathan, and Wayne Lewis were members of which band? The Police, Foreigner, Atlantic Star, or Starship? Question 11. Which singer's real name is William Broad? Is it A. David Bowie, B. Prince, C. Billy Idol, or D. George Michael? Which singer's real name is William Broad? David Bowie, Prince, Billy Idol, George Michael? Question 12. Architecture and Morality was a studio album by which band? A. OMD, B. ABC, C. Culture Club, D. Guns N' Roses? Architecture and Morality was a studio album by which band? OMD, ABC, Culture Club, Guns N' Roses? Question 13. Who wrote the Bangles' 1986 hit Manic Monday? Who wrote the Bangles' 1986 hit Manic Monday? So A. Prince, B. Barry Gibb, C. Elton John, and D. Rod Stewart? Who wrote the Bangles' 1986 hit Manic Monday? Prince, Barry Gibb, Elton John, or Rod Stewart? Question 14. Wham featured George Michael and who else? A. Dave Gahan, B. Andrew Ridgeley, C. Paul Rutherford, D. Barry Gibb? Wham featured George Michael and who else? David Gahan, I think I pronounced that right, Andrew Ridgeley, Paul Rutherford, and Barry Gibb? Question 15, halfway through. Which Pet Shop Boys song was about the lead singer's Catholic upbringing? A. I'm Not Scared, B. Always on My Mind, C. Opportunities, D. It's a Sin? Which Pet Shop Boys song was about the lead singer's Catholic upbringing? I'm Not Scared, Always on My Mind, Opportunities, It's a Sin? Question 16. Who asked, What's Love Got to Do with It in 1984? Is it A. Aretha Franklin, B. Tina Turner, C. Whitney Houston, or D. Tracy Chapman? Who asked, What's Love Got to Do with It in 1984? Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, or Tracy Chapman? Question 17. With or Without You appeared on which U2 album? A. Rattle and Hum, B. The Forgettable Fire, C. Boy, or D. The Joshua Tree? With or Without You appeared on which U2 album? Rattle and Hum, The Unforgettable Fire, Boy, or The Joshua Tree? Question 18. Who had a hit with Japanese Boy in 1981? Love it. So A. Tiffany, B. Bonnie Tyler, C. Eurythmics, or D. Annika? Who had a hit with Japanese Boy in 1981? Tiffany, Bonnie Tyler, Eurythmics, or Annika? Question 19. Which band had a hit with A Night to Remember in 1982? Is it A, NWA? Is it B, Shalimar? C, Kool and the Gang? Or D, Run DMC? Which band had a hit with A Night to Remember in 1982? NWA, Shalimar, Kool and the Gang, or Run DMC? Question 20. In which year did Journey have a hit with Don't Stop Believin'? Was it A, 1981, B, 1983, C, 1982, or D, 1987? In which year did Journey have a hit with Don't Stop Believin'? 1981, 1983, 1982, or 1987? Question 21. Who was the first act to perform at the Live Aid concert in London in 1985? Is it A, Adam Ant, B, Status Quo, C, Queen, or D, Cyndi Lauper? Who was the first act to perform at the Live Aid concert in London in 1985? Adam Ant, Status Quo, Queen, or Cyndi Lauper? Question 22. Which band had a hit with Dance Hall Days in the 80s? Was it A, the Beastie Boys, B, Roxette, C, Wang Chung, or D, Tigers of Pan Tang? Which band had a hit with Dance Hall Days in the 1980s? Beastie Boys, Roxette, Wang Chung, or Tigers of Pan Tang? Question 23. I Can't Go For That, No Can Do appeared on which Hall & Oates album? A, H2O, B, Big Bam Boom, C, Private Eyes, or D, Voices? I Can't Go For That, No Can Do appeared on which Hall & Oates album? H2O, Big Bam Boom, Private Eyes, and Voices? Question 24. Whose 1983 album was titled No Parlay? Is it A, Kylie Minogue, B, Paul Young, C, Kim Wilde, or D, Madonna? Whose 1983 album was titled No Parlay? Kylie Minogue, Paul Young, Kim Wilde, or Madonna? Question 25, nearly at the end. Robert Bell is the name of which artist? A, DJ Jazzy Jeff, B, Kool, spelled with a K, C, Suggs, or D, LL Cool J? Robert Bell is the real name of which artist? DJ Jazzy Jeff, Kool, Suggs, or LL Cool J? Question 26. The work of Franz Lang inspired which Madonna video? Is it A, Material Girl, B, Like a Virgin, C, Express Yourself, D, Like a Prayer? Which work of Fritz Lang inspired which Madonna video? Material Girl, Like a Virgin, Express Yourself, Like a Prayer? Question 27. What colour door gave Shakin' Stevens an 80s hit? Is it A, green, B, blue, C, red, or D, yellow? Which colour door gave Shakin' Stevens an 80s hit? Was it green, blue, red, or yellow? Question 28. Who had a hit with It's Still Rock and Roll to Me in 1980? Is it A, Aerosmith, B, Beastie Boys, C, Billy Joel, or D, Billy Idol? Who had a hit with It's Still Rock and Roll with Me in 1980? Aerosmith, Beastie Boys, Billy Joel, or Billy Idol? Question 29. John Keeble was the drummer with which 1980s band? Is it A, The Cure, B, Pet Shop Boys, C, Whitesnake, or D, Spandau Ballet? John Keeble was the drummer of which 1980s band? The Cure, Pet Shop Boys, Whitesnake, or Spandau Ballet? And your last question. For whom was it raining men in 1984? So A, Bananarama, B, Salt and Pepper, was it C, the Pointer Sisters, or D, the Weather Girls? For whom was it raining men in 1984? Bananarama, Salt and Pepper, the Pointer Sisters, or the Weather Girls? So, that's it. That's your 30 questions about 80s pop. I'm not sure how you want to do this, whether you trust each other to mark each other's papers, or you swap the pages over, or swap the bits of paper around. That's up to you. No cheating, and no asking you know who. Alexa. It's okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So polite. Ready for the answers? Okay. I'll read them once and then the answer. All right. So who had a hit with Ride on Time in 1989? The answer was Black Box. Question 2. Tony Hadley was the lead singer of which band? The answer was Spandau Ballet. I don't think you can knock any points off for incorrectly spelling it. Question 3. With which Billie Holiday song did Alison Moyet have a hit? The answer was That Old Devil Called Love. I won't sing it for you. Question 4. Who released the 1987 album Hysteria? The answer was Def Leppard. Question 5. Or 5, if you come from Hull. Who had a hit with Don't You Forget About Me in 1985? The answer was Simple Minds. Or Simple Mans, if you're from Hull. As you can tell, I spent some time there. Partying. Question 6. Who reached number 1 in 10 countries with Shut Up Your Face? The answer was Joe Dolce. Who knew? Question 7. Who had a hit with Just Can't Get Enough in 1981? The answer was Depeche Mode. Question 8. Ronald Orzabal, no, I'll say that again. Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith formed which band? The answer was Tears for Fears. Question 9. Who is the lead singer of Frankie Goes to Hollywood? The answer was Holly Johnson. Question 10. David, Jonathan and Wayne Lewis were members of which band? The answer was Atlantic Starr. I don't know that one. Question 11. Which singer's real name is William Broad? The options were David Bowie, Prince, Billy Idol and George Michael. And the answer was Billy Idol. Nice day for a white wedding. Question 12. Architecture and Morality was a studio album by which band? The answer was OMD, or Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. It would be really flash. Question 13. Who wrote the Bangles' 1986 Manic Monday? The answer was Prince. Question 14. Wham! Featured George Michael and who else? Bless him. The answer was Andrew Ridgeley. Question 15. Which Pet Shop Boys song was about the lead singer's Catholic upbringing? And the answer was It's a Sin. Question 16. Who asked What's Love Got to Do with It in 1984? The answer was Tina Turner. Question 17. With or Without You appeared on which U2 album? The answer was The Joshua Tree. Question 18. Who had a hit with Japanese Boy in 1981? Being an 80s DJ, that was always in my set. The answer was Annika. She wasn't even Japanese. I think she was from like Stoke-on-Trent or something. Which band had a hit? Question 19. Which band had a hit with A Night to Remember in 1982? The answer was Shalimar. Question 20. In which year did Journey have a hit with Don't Stop Believin'? The answer was 1981. I didn't know. I thought that was like a few years ago. Who knew? Question 21. Who was the first act to perform at the Live Aid concert in London in 1985? The answer was Status Quo. Question 22. Which band had a hit with Dancehall Days in the 80s? The answer was Wang Chung. I know what you were thinking there. Question 23. I Can't Go For That, No Can Do appeared on which Hall & Oates album? The answer was Private Eyes. Question 24. Whose 1983 debut album was titled No Parlay? The answer was Paul Young. I nearly pronounced that No Parlays. Maybe that is right. Question 25. Robert Bell is the name of which artist? The answer was Call, spelled with a K. Question 26. The work of Fritz Lang inspired which Madonna video? And the answer is Express Yourself. Question 27. Slap on the wrists if you got this wrong. What colour door gave Shakin' Stevens an 80s hit? The answer was green. Question 28. Who had a hit with It's Still Rock and Roll to Me in 1980? The answer was Billy Joel. Question 29. John Keeble was the drummer with which 80s band? The answer to that was Spandau Ballet. And here is the final one. For whom was it raining men in 1984? The answer was, of course, the Weather Girls. Right, cheers all round. Who won? So, if one of your teams or the individuals have won with each other, then scoop up that money or get and do the washing up or put the dinner on or tea, depending on where you come from. If there's a tie, I should give you 5 more questions. Ready? 5. What you do is you shout the answers out to the other team. If you both get it right, you have to go on to the next one. Is that fair? Question number 1. Joseph Sadler is the real name of which 1980s artist? Joseph Sadler is the real name of which 1980s artist? Leave a bit of a blank. See if I can put a sound effect on the video. I don't know how to do that yet. Joseph Sadler is the real name of which 1980s artist? And the answer is Grandmaster Flash. Okay, if you both got that right, I'll give you another one. Which duo had a hit with Sweet Dreams Are Made of This in 1983? Which duo had a hit with Sweet Dreams Are Made of This in 1983? Right, you ready? The answer is Eurythmics. Did that solve who won yet? Don't worry. If not, 3 more. Who teamed up with Vince Clarke to form Yazoo? Who teamed up with Vince Clarke to form Yazoo? The answer is who teamed up with Vince Clarke to form Yazoo? The answer is Alison Moyet. 2 more to go on the tiebreakers, just in case you still need them. Probably loads of people have gone. So if you're still playing, well done. 4th one on your tiebreakers. Neil Doughty and Alan Gratzer were founding members of which band? Neil Doughty and Alan Gratzer were founding members of which band? Ready? Neil Doughty and Alan Gratzer were founding members of which band? The answer was REO Speedwagon. And your very last one, and then I can go and have a cup of tea or a beer or something, edit this video for 6 hours. Last question. Which band's second album was called Hanging Tough? Which band's second album was called Hanging Tough? Ready? Which band's second album was called Hanging Tough? The answer is New Kids on the Block. So, there we go. 30 questions. Hope it filled up 15, 20 minutes of fun for you. Filled a bit of boredom. Like or dislike, I don't mind. It just helps me make my vids better. But thank you very much for watching. Remember, just have a go.